Hello, my name is Leo. Um, the game we'll be making is called Let's Battalion. It'll be a continuation of the build we have before. However, we will be changing its style, art, music, and everything. Next slide, please. Okay, so yes, we aim to have a fun yet ambitious development project. From last semester, we do have a base. Therefore, because of that, we don't really have to crunch. We could just focus on sprucing up what's already there. This is a good project if you like learning 3D development, and we'll be handing out tasks with Trello. It is a bit advanced, however, so we may not have time to instruct on basics. However, if you are experienced in your own particular skill, be it art or audio, we can find a way to integrate it in a seamless manner. Next slide, please. Okay, gameplay. Essentially, it's going to be a character action game. There'll be, enemies that spawn and you'll be able to slash and shoot them. Um, it's not too combo heavy. We have like simple, intuitive actions on that you can string together to fight enemies, similar to a Smash game where just a few moves, but through player ingenuity, you can string them in interesting ways. And good reference would be, like how Link utilizes his sword and bow in Zelda, and as well as Pit. And there's other games as well, Devil May Cry or Red Steel, and we'll be showing these references with the team. Next slide. Okay, so here is our old build. We succeeded in some areas. We never made a 3D game of this scale before, so we got the basic things like moving, rolling, shooting, and slashing. And now we aim to, spruce it up, make the AI more fun to play, make the moves feel better to use. And there was literally no graphics, just mannequins. Um, if you notice from a few slides earlier, we do have the soldier enemies, so that will be taken care of. We will mainly need to just focus on our protagonist. Next slide. Yeah. So the postmortem, the old gameplay was pretty fun. However, the camera perspective as well. We did want to change the setting because we were kind of hitting a wall. Since it was realistic, you would need realistic looking characters and settings, and we wouldn't be able to do that with the resources we have. But since now it's a dark fantasy setting, we have more freedom. We don't have to worry about like what kind of weapons we could use or what kind of enemies since it's all fantasy. And yeah, and there was no graphics, so it wasn't really fun to look at all. Next slide. Okay, so this one's going to be very big on animation. We used a bit of Mixamo last time, but now we have a little bit more training, so we could make them ourselves by using references from existing games, like action games like Devil May Cry, Metal Gear Revengeance, Bayonetta, etc. Um, no need to be extremely perfect. Kind of going for the more simpler animations they used to have back in the day in the like PS2, GameCube era, where nothing was over animated as they do now. And you could, use Unreal animations as a base as well. Next slide. Okay. Well, this is more of a SUSE's thing, but yeah, most of the main prototyping was done, so we don't have that initial stress. We just have to clean up the existing code, convert to C++, to boost run speed. New features may be added, but we will need to focus on what we already have. Keep everything at 60 since it's an action game, and fix the spaghetti. Next slide. Okay, so the art style will be the second industrial revolution, which was around 1870 to 1914. It'll be a fantasy version of it though, so no need to adhere to specific time period and such. I'll be using Quixel. So if you look at the image there with the house, that was made with Quixel. You could sign up with your Epic account, and they have everything, trees, grass, fences, decals. So that way you don't have to go out into like Europe or something and take the pictures yourself. You could just use them and assemble your levels. Um, if you want a good idea, like on the style, you could take a look at Hayao Miyazaki's Daydream Note. That book inspired Metal Slug as well. So if you're familiar with that, uh, very similar. And it's an anachronistic world, meaning it's like ambiguous. Its time period, like it could be 1890 or 1980. It could be kind of old style architecture, but people have TVs and such. And yeah, I got this idea mainly, seeing films that are based in era, like old war films or westerns, take place in 1910 and such. If you don't see these type of films, a good reference, I guess a modern reference would be if you're familiar with the show Full Metal Alchemist. That's kind of like the style as well, like that steampunk style. And the picture on the bottom is asset pack we nabbed, so for free on the free for the month on Unreal. So we could use that. So we already have a base. We just need to get that working. Next slide, please. Yeah, these are just some references for the art team. Like on the top left, that's art from Final Fantasy VI, which is also very similar into the style. The one after that is from Django, Old Western, post Civil War era. And common motifs are trains, towns powered by steam, and rogues encountering each other with different outlooks and goals. Next slide, please. And these sort of characters are sort of, oh yeah, Bloodborne would be a good reference as well. These sort of characters are sort of a reference in terms of like clothing and style, that sort of thing. Something that's interesting, a lot of the westerns and the samurai films took place in the same time because they were influenced by each other. And it could be a samurai cowboy, but in essence, they're very similar. And all these genres tend to take from each other. So you could either be hunting, soldiers, vampires, whatever. There's very common motifs. And during this era, we had, detectives like Sherlock Holmes, samurais, World War One pilots, and World War Zero soldiers, which was the Russo-Japanese War. So we aim to kind of sort of combine these things like in one place, essentially. Next slide. Thing we're gonna need is animators because a lot of the programming, heavy lifting has been done. And we just need to spruce up the existing moves before we add any new ones. And we also need artists, concept artists, 3D modelers. We also need 2D for UI. We don't have any good UI. And also maybe for portraits, for like a shopkeeper or such. And also, gameplay designers who can think up of interesting scenarios and a 3D character modeler. Now, for the main character, the enemies are taken care of. So we essentially just need to focus on the main character. And if it's too hard to do a face, what can be done is we could utilize like a mask or a hat to obscure the face area and then just focus on the clothing. So that would be it.
Cool. Does anyone have any questions so far?
Yes, I have a question about the art assets. So the main art assets that you need is going to be the environment because you said you had the enemies already done, right?
Yes, we need to make the environment, the level itself, and our protagonist.
Okay.
Any other questions?
Oh yeah, one more question. So it's more like a realistic style, right? Or is it stylized? Because you had like both on the art slide, I guess.
Yeah, well, see, since I'm using scans by Quixel, by proxy, it's kind of realistic. But overall design, it's more fantasy and imaginative. No need to be uber realistic. That's why the enemies have masks, so that can help us out. And if we could do that for our protagonist, we don't have to worry about making a face, just a hair. So it is stylized. It doesn't have to adhere to realistic towns and such. But since it's Quixel, it kind of looks realistic because of the assets. Any more
other
questions?
Yeah. In terms of audio and music, like you have it covered. You don't need assistance in that department.
Yeah. I mean, I've been making the music, but I am swamped when it comes with the SFX. So if anyone would like to do that, that would be very helpful.
I see. Any other questions? Going once. Going